guys. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm doing okay. Everybody's trying to say that this is crooked. It's not crooked. My phone is leaning, has a gangster lean on it because of the tripod and the fact that I'm on a bed and I have to use a book to hold it up. So it leans it over. So see, just FYI, because people have a lot to say. I've got it on members only for the obvious reasons. I'm sick and tired of listening to idiots, and not that my subscribers are idiots, it's just the idiots that come on here when it's not in members only. So, for all of my beautiful subscribers that are just subscribers and not members, I know you guys want to comment, and you're more than welcome to comment after the live ends. But for the time being, we're just going to keep it on members only because I don't have the patience for these idiots. And I'm sure the people that follow me and love me can understand why I don't have patience for these idiots. Okay, so just bear with me. I promise you, it's not going to be on members only forever. It's just going to be what we're doing right now. As many of you guys know, I've been working and heavily involved with Seth Rogers for the benefit of his son. And because of that, there are some bad actors that have violated my civil rights as well as my constitutional rights. Gag orders in the United States of America are unconstitutional, unconstitutional as directed by the Supreme Court. So I'm either somebody read the order wrong or the order itself is unconstitutional. I have not seen it because I wasn't properly served and therefore was not required to appear in court. And they're not allowed to take my voice away from me about things that are related to me and the people that have done these things to me. But we're not going to even talk about that. We're going to talk about Seth, his son Sebastian, and Stephen, aka Vagina Crabtree, because yes, more drama, more drama. Mr. Crabtree he started out with coming on here, wanting to help, right? Wanting to help. But very soon on, because Tony's been involved in this case and the spokesperson for Seth Rogers for several months now and has been trying to clean up this. And of course, the barrage of bad actors and hurt feelings and egos and all this other stuff. So they started attacking Seth viciously, especially with my involvement, because they want to control people. This is America. We're not a third world country. You don't get to control anybody but yourself. And he has told Seth he's backing out of this case, I don't know how many times. And of course, now that he realizes TikTok is going away, he thinks he's going to make a channel on YouTube, which everybody's entitled to make their own channel and do their own thing. And, it has nothing to do with me or anybody else, right? Because I'm only in control of myself. I'm not in control of what he does. But what I can tell you is that he's been constantly putting out information and retracting information. He's been doing it for almost 5 months. He's the one that doesn't know, remember he said he knows how to read a sonar, right? Remember that? And I made fun of him because I'm like, oh, fishies, right? Oh, fishies, right? And come to find out, he's the one that couldn't figure out a tree stump from a individual's body. Never mind the agony that he probably put Seth in. And of course, Nick Barris, he knew it was a tree, but wanted the click in the view by the headlines. And I just don't understand why, if he knows that this family does not want, if he was to talk about this case and keep it Sebastian oriented, then I really truly believe nobody would have any problems with his coverage of this case, right? Nobody, like, as long as we're keeping it about the victim, right? Victim focused. I don't think anybody has a problem, but he's not. He's going on these ego pissing contests with Tony, talking about Tony being ridiculous. But you know what? At the end of the day, Tony's not the one that brought a log to the table, right? And then trying to say that, oh, I know how to work he didn't even know how to put his engine all the way down. He was wondering why his damn, the tip of his nose was sticking up on his own boat. Okay, let's be honest. This man he's a nice guy. I'm not going to take that away from him. but he's, in my opinion, dumb as a box of rocks, okay? He's not good at this. And so now that he's on YouTube, he's going to really find out how ugly YouTube is, because you might be able to get away with putting salacious stuff out and retracting it on TikTok, but here on this platform, they will eat your ass alive. So I made a list of what what I felt were important topics to discuss when it came. Hold on, let me turn my do not dis, let me put my do not disturb on. There we go. Okay, I'm back. So he first says over and over and over and over, because nobody will pay attention to him, right? Because again, he doesn't make sense half the time, and half the stuff he does say out of his mouth, he ends up retracting later and saying, maybe I should have checked on that, you know. But backing away from the case. He has said probably, I want to say, a dozen times that he's backing away from this case, that he's not going to be involved in this case. He's not going to help. And then every time you turn around, he realizes nobody's paying attention to him, so he's back in the case. But he's not just back in the case, he's back in the case to try to throw shade on somebody else, predominantly Tony. Of course, me here and there, but predominantly Tony, right? Tony's like public enemy number one for Crabtree. I'm like public enemy number one for all these hate channels, right? He keeps making claims that people are inserting themselves into this case. I was asked by the family to look into this. I know Tony was asked by SETH to be his spokesperson. So if he's talking about interjecting himself into or people interjecting themselves into the case, he's the one interjecting himself into this case. He's the one that won't leave it alone after SETH has spoken to him, and he's given SETH his word, and other people on local, you guys see it. He's not touching the case, but he keeps coming back to the case and causing ripples. He's constantly accusing people of lying, but he is the one person that has retracted almost every single major statement that he says. Let's talk about one of them. He said the state troopers came to him for help, right? Came to him for help because he needed to break up a human trafficking ring. And they wanted him to fly his drone, okay? Because apparently our government doesn't have drones, okay? Doesn't have drones. They need Crabtree. They need a vagina to come out there. And why am I calling him and being so disrespectful? Because of some of the commentary he said about me. So if he can give it, he can take it. That's where I come from, you know. So he keeps lying about certain things. And when he was pushed on the issue about the LE requesting him, or state troopers requesting him to fly his drone, he basically retracted that and said that wasn't the case. So the only person here inserting themselves into the case, also lying about his involvement in the case, is Crabtree. And so I don't understand why he is constantly and intentionally impeding, and that's what he's doing. He is impeding this investigation. He can't even discern the difference between a tree stump and a body. But he wanted to sit there and dog Tony that has actually located a body. So I am being very nice. I'm trying to keep myself in, I'm trying to speak my mind without getting, because to be honest with you, I'm absolutely, utterly exhausted, right? I've got a lot of stuff going on. I was arrested unconstitutionally against my rights, and people are acting like this is a great day. You know, if you can get arrested for hashtags and threatening to sue somebody in a completely different state than these people, if it can happen to me, it can literally happen to anyone. So while they're on the sidelines applauding, I'd hate to see what it looks like for them, because we've watched these people post them. This one lady, right? She's saying that I left a Waffle House. Look at Andra, or look at Betty, she's leaving. She must have had to eat. Do you not think that's stalking? When have I ever done that to a parent? You can go through my entire, and I mean my entire channel, and you have never seen me do that. So they are literally putting a post of a private person stalking them, like literally stalking them, watching my every move and showing up and following me. But somehow they're not stalking. And by me driving around a house, because I'm a video journalist and I was capturing the content, that I'm somehow stalking when I wasn't there for any of the parents. I was there for the shots, right? I was there for the evening shot. I was there for the daytime shot to compile a video. And I just want people to understand, because the way it looks is the way it appears to a lot of people is that there was a non-contact order and I contacted them. And that's not true. I was arrested for using hashtags. I was set up. I absolutely was. But using hashtags, I just want you guys to understand that. I was sitting in Florida, and see, on my end, we have default settings. So all of my stuff is plugged in, so I don't have to type it every single time I go live. When I go live, all the stuff populates automatically in. So on the 22nd, that was what happened. I went live a couple times on the 22nd. And in the stuff auto populated in. As you can see, my auto population, I went and changed it. I changed it on the 23rd just to cover my butt. But the lady wanted the arrest. That's all she cared about, that overzealous detective, Detective Lisa Byington, right? So she didn't really care what was true. Now, mind you, she's a detective. So you would think a detective would investigate and look into my account and watch what I did and seen if I was in violation of anything. And you would know I wasn't, because I wasn't looking for these people, right? If I wanted to look for these people, I'm a journalist. I can go up and knock on their door and ask them questions if they choose to talk to me. That's within my realm of my practices. That didn't happen. Why? Because I didn't care what they had to say. Wasn't there for them. They knew that, and they didn't even file these protective orders until after the vigil was announced publicly and after the gathering of voices was announced publicly. And it was concocted between Sumner County and these folks to try to stop that. And that's what I'm going to say. It was coordinated between Sumner County and these folks to try to stop it. So this is a clear violation of the law. And if anybody sees it any different, I can't fix you. I said that I had an attorney since August 8th, and that's exactly what I had, an attorney since August 8th. But I'm just curious why Crabtree thinks it's okay to do that. And I keep wondering how Verizon would feel if they knew that one of their, poll people, whatever they call them, installers, was in here impeding an investigation. And that's exactly what I feel Stephen Crabtree is doing in this case, because he constantly goes out, like even that whole thing. Remember when Tony was crucified for saying that there was an abduction? Remember that whole thing where they had that Stags guy, the audio of the Amber Alert, and Tony was absolutely crucified. You guys remember that? That was once again Crabtree. This stump, once again, Crabtree. I could literally list 12, probably more than 12 examples of stuff that this Crabtree guy has interjected into this case, and then within 24 hours had retracted it and said, I'm sorry, I probably should have looked into that a little better. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. They didn't want the event. They didn't want it, but it still happened. You know why? Because they're not going to take my voice. They're not going to take my rights. I will not be a victim of Sumner County. I will not be a victim. Somebody's like, you called Eric Craddock a douchebag. He's the sheriff. Well, you know what? He didn't give me any damn respect. Why does he deserve any? Along with Lisa. People are like, well, you're got her under investigation. Does that mean it's really an investigation or your investigation? It's my investigation. I plan on going through every single case Lisa is involved in and reaching out to the attorneys because, one, she was in court and stated that I'm intentionally and willfully, now mind you, she's an investigator, right? She has subpoena power, right? So she could have literally got my financial records. She could have gotten my phone records. She could have literally seen where I was when I found out about this, but yet she went to a judge and intentionally told them that I'm trying to avoid service of process. I was literally in Mississippi when I found out, because remember, they kept this all hush hush. This was supposed to be a sneak attack. But the problem was, is they went to go serve the papers and I wasn't there. So the stupid asses on these streets ended up saying, oh, she was served. She was served. I'm like, how can I be served? I'm not even in Florida. I remember Seth calling me and telling me, I'm like, there's no way I've got protect. I said, I've done nothing wrong. I haven't even been, like, I've been to Hendersonville one time at this point, right? I've only been there twice. Well, actually 3 times now, because I was there the one time in June. I had to go back last Friday to speak to my attorney. And then we were there for the gathering of voices. So I've only been in that community 3 times. 3. But when we were there, I got to say, long story short is, obviously there has to be a pattern of stalking. There has to be a pattern of harassment. I've never met these people before except one. There's no pattern there. There's just not. And Detective Lisa would have been able to clearly see that. So there's the inside connection. Why in the world, if she knew I was only there one time for 2 days, how that can constitute, and not only that, but knowing that this is what I do every single day. Sorry, I gotta stretch my legs, they're starting to fall asleep. Every single day of my life. What does she not understand that I have a right to be there? Does she not understand I have the right to record? Does she not? I mean, this is a detective upholding the law. And she's basically saying I had no legitimate purpose there because I was doing nighttime. I didn't know there was a curfew in Hendersonville. Is there a curfew in Hendersonville? Is there regulations on when you can use public property and drive on roadways and when you're not? I mean, is there a time limit? Like, I can't be on the roads between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., right? And so Crabtree, right? He's sitting there applauding their efforts in his own community. Well, as far as I can see, it sounds like Seth has a good reason to put a protective order on him. Right? Take his rights away. Right? I mean, it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander. This is a man that has stated he was going to back away from this case for a really, really long time. And when he's not getting enough attention or enough clicks and views, he goes back to trashing the team, the only team that is searching for this boy. And that includes me. Again, made claims. People are inserting themselves. I'm not inserting myself. He is. Clicks and views. That's what it's for. Clicks and views. Sounds like detective needs to go to law school. They need to be properly trained. But this wasn't. It was a witch hunt. It was a witch hunt to stop whatever, because what happened is they chose to listen to the felons here on YouTube because it came out in numbers. Right? So they're telling them that I'm coming in there to riot, and they're thinking that this is going to be, they have no, like, this lady could have went back and looked through my entire channel, and she chose not to, yet she's an investigator. How many times has she investigated high profile cases and did this to somebody else? She's dealt with human trafficking, drug busts. How many times has she lied about a drug dealer? It makes you wonder how many other people are just like me that have been completely railroaded by the system. Now, they're not going to be able to railroad me for long. The attorney's already working behind the scenes. But Vagina Crabtree, it's time for you to leave the case or start advocating for Sebastian and get off your high horse. Because I got to tell you, what you're doing to Tony, what you're doing to his family, what you're doing to Seth is wrong. It is wrong. What that county did to me is wrong. And people want to say that I have no business calling it out. I have a huge platform, and I'm going to use my platform to vindicate myself. And if people have a problem with it, that's their problem to have, because I don't really give a crap. At this point, I don't care. Okay? Do I care if I go to jail? Of course I care if I go to jail. Will it be unjust? It sure will be. Has what I've been going through unjust? It absolutely is. You cannot prevent anybody. Gag orders are unconstitutional in the United States of America. That's why it was so imperative when John C. Judge kept saying, you can't use gag order. It's a non-dissemination order. It's very limited. Remember him saying that? Do you guys remember him saying that up on the stand? You want to know why? Because it's unconstitutional. Maybe this backwoods community doesn't understand that. I don't know. But I can tell you, I've never broken a law in their county, and I never thought, as long as I recorded myself and never broke the law, that there is no possibility of me being arrested. Well, guess what? I got arrested for lies. Lies that this detective helped perpetrate in that courtroom. She knowingly allowed them people to lie. I've got records, and not only that, they could have pulled my phone records and knew exactly where I was, right? We know this. We watch true crime all the time. We know the capabilities of law enforcement and the detectives. So why did she just not look in that, not actually investigate the claims? Does anybody find that a little odd? You guys know, right? Hey, Anna, thank you for becoming a member. It's nice to see you. Right? You guys know what you saw. Can you imagine you driving on public property and sticking your phone out the window and being arrested for that in America? Or how about using hashtags and threatening to sue somebody publicly? Because the way they made it sound like I went around them. But when you read the affidavit, it was for hashtags and threatening to sue. My constitutional right. My constitutional right. This is a public case. A public case. And I'm the only person that can't talk about it? Why? Because I don't like the parents? Can you guys hear me now? You guys can hear me now? Okay. Okay. So if you can sit there and post stalking somebody online, physically saying, look at Betty, look at Betty, look at her run. Oh my gosh, she's now eating at the Waffle House. I gotta tell you, this whole Waffle House thing, I never ate at the Waffle House. This lady was literally stalking somebody that wasn't even me. Now that's a little creepy. Do you guys think that's okay? What if it was you she was following by mistake? Following you all around town and you didn't even know it. So we have to look at some things here. What's going on with everyone's internet going out, electric? I don't know. But that lady is literally, and you guys watch Chlamydia. She literally stalked me, Seth, and Tony and publicized it. Literally targeting people and following them. But me driving around a home for a perspective for my audience is somehow not okay, but them literally targeting people and stalking them online and you guys being in the front row to see it is somehow okay? This is all kinds of wrong, and we've got every bit of it captured. So, and then we find out not only is, now I want to know who Crabtree is working with. Is he working with Chlamydia? Is he working with QB? Or is he working with JLR? Because he's trying to make a name for himself. But he can't, because all of his information is wrong. And like I said, he's too stupid to even know the difference between a freaking log and a body. And isn't it funny that when Tony saw it, the first thing he said was explain it? And then furthermore, Nick Barris runs with the story and then realizes it's a log at the very end. I don't like Nick Barris. I can tell you he's a snake. I don't really like much of the media in that area because they don't work for the people. It's mainstream media. They either way you look at it, I don't like their media. Their media has no backbone. The media has no fight, right? You don't really have investigative reporters anymore. That's why I do my job. I've said that for years. The reason why I do what I do is because journalism, mainstream media is dead. They're closing up shop. They can't stay alive anymore because everybody has tuned them out. They've done their own bidding and it has failed. They used to have huge conglomerates of local news. Those are all going away. They used to have crews where they had a cameraman. They had 3 people on the crew. Then it went down to 2 people. Now they have 1 reporter out there that has to set up their own cameras, do the story, and produce their own story. You used to have 3 people, 1 camera, 1 producer, 1 speaker. So we know mainstream media is a dying breed. We've been saying it for a long time, and these are the reasons why they are a dying breed. These are the reasons why they are a dying breed. Yeah, when she was helping him locate where you were because TB is capable of violence and does carry. Yeah. Well, that's what they try to do. They try to strip me away from my Second Amendment rights, But it doesn't matter because after this is all said and done, I will not leave. I'm going to go out and get me a 380 as soon as I have a stay. And that is going to stay on my side at every time I go into that county, except if I'm not allowed to. I will tell you that because I'm done playing with I think that this is starting to, listen, they have tried everything to stop me. Eventually, and you already heard these people talking about how they hope I get close enough so they can punch me. These people are violent people. Okay, and they are going to try to, and I put this in my pleadings, that it's only a matter of time before I am met with either death or bodily injury because of what they're doing. And I'm very concerned for my safety. I've been very concerned for my safety. It's in just about every single one. And you remember, because BT wanted to sit there and say, oh, Betty's full-blown Betty. And everybody's joking about it. I'm not joking about it. When I put those in legal documents, it's what I believe. It's not some smoke and mirror. These people are a joke. They're a freaking joke. That county is a freaking joke. Their backwoods justice system is unlawful. And I'm glad I have the platform because I have a funny feeling if I wasn't who I was, I would have been railroaded. How many people in their community? And you know what's so sad is that even though I went through this, I'm not the first person I think of. The first person I think of after going through all of this was how many others have they done this to? That was the first thought that came through my mind. How many other victims do they have in Sumner County from the Sumner County Sheriff's Department? And this unlawful justice system and not have any money or any wherewithal to fight it. I'm a justice person. I'm a law and order person. And I just keep thinking about everybody else and how much this county has hurt other people, not just me, because I know at the end of this is all going to go away for me. But how many people did it not go away for? How many people have they railroaded in that county? I literally want to know. I think Craddock needs to resign. I think Lisa needs to resign. And I think the leak in their department needs to resign because we know who that is. And these people need to stop and they need to, I'm sorry, they need to be on paid administrative leave pending a full investigation. And I think I'm going to be working on that as hard as I can to make sure that that is a possibility because I feel not only was this was unjust. This was unjust. And then you got Crabtree applauding this. Dude, this is your county, dude. Like, you could be next. Are you that stupid? Oh, of course he is. He retracts every freaking thing. That's why we call him vagina. So good luck here on the streets, Mr. Crabtree, but I can promise you it's going to be a bumpy ride because nobody likes retractions. And I mean nobody. Like even the hate channels will be eating you alive. Take a few views from them and you're as good as toast. Just saying. We're not TikTok. I wonder where Crabtree has been. Hopefully under a rock. I'm hoping he quits talking about this case unless he has something beneficial to bring or just actual advocacy for the victim. Apparently the ignorance to personal civil liberty laws rampant in Tennessee. I've heard more than one case. Yes. And you know what the worst part about it is? Remember I kept saying, everybody keeps saying this community is corrupt, and I kept saying, no, I'm not going to go there, because we hear that in every single case. This is the second community that I've gone into that is truly corrupt. Even Chatham County, it wasn't as corrupt as this. And somebody says this guy is still in office. He's in office until his term ends, unless he was able to backtrack. And if that's the case, then I need to get back to work in Chatham County, because I had him everything but gone. They were going to let him finish out his term, and he decided to retire. And if he just said that to let the waters die down so he could stay in position, I will start working overtime to make sure that man is out. He has no business being in office either, or in that. And he was appointed. He was appointed. But, you know, these are country towns. See, and I used to, you know, I'm a country girl, right? I'm a country girl. I'm a conservative. I'm a constitutionalist. I believe that the Constitution should be applied as it is written. You know, but we know that that's not the case in our America. But, you know, I do believe in these things, and I'm a very powerful voice with a lot of political connections. And I work very hard. I've worked very hard for years to have that ability. Years. And it seems like all of these haters are hell-bent on trying to destroy, because I cover true crime cases and they don't like my opinions. Do you think that's okay in America, that if somebody doesn't like they're allowed to have their opinions, and they're a victim if you try to take their voice away. But every time you turn around, they try to take someone else's voice away. Is that okay? I mean, because it could be your voice next. It could be your voice next. Are you okay with that? I mean, I would say there's no possibility of that until I had this experience, where I've literally committed no crimes and I was arrested and held against my will for 18, almost 19 hours. I just want that to kind of set in for people. I know my supporters know the truth, but there are some people that are being lied to and being manipulated. And again, like I said from the very beginning, all of this will go away. There will be no charges on Bullhorn Betty. None. They can't. I wasn't properly served. They had no personal jurisdiction over me. They had no lawful means to arrest me. My attorney was an attorney of record. They slow walked my paperwork. They shouldn't even have had the authority to make the arrest. And not only did they make the arrest at a vigil, which it's pretty sad that this boy's mom and stepfather can disappear a boy and try to act like innocent parents, yet all the while trying to ruin his vigil. And that's what they tried to do, right? They wanted to make sure that this was a public spectacle of me. All they did was make me want to work to get this thing resolved very quickly, because once my constitutional rights are established, Sumner County will not be able to stop me acting lawfully in their community. They will not be able to stop my rights to peacefully assemble on public property, not just their property, public property. They cannot restrict my movement, yet they did. They put me in jail for driving on public roadway with a camera. I want people to kind of understand that. It's unlawful. It's totally unlawful. So, Mr. Vagina, can you please tell me why you refuse to back off this case, even though you said you're backing off this case literally a dozen times? Can you please explain to me why you're inserting yourself into an investigation that you have been asked not to be involved in? Can you tell me why you keep lying about everything that's going on? Can you please explain to me why you lied that the state troopers wanted your help because they can't afford a drone? Mr. Vagina, can you please tell me why you are inserting yourself and impeding an ongoing investigation against a man's son? Southern. You're funny. She might. Hey, she might. He might. Because you heard how he was talking to Terry Lynn. Hey, he might have been. He might be actually putting the butter on the bread of Detective Lisa Byington. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. Just saying. It's kind of like he's pulling JLR, right? Bopping his pawn. I wonder when Magnolia is going to realize that she's just a pawn for that man. But we heard Chris. We know he's got it in him. Would he be smoothing it on thick for Miss Lisa? She doesn't look like she gets a whole lot of attention. No offense, I love Fluffy. My family's fluffy, right? But yeah, I don't know. TL's doing a search. I can't handle. I'm sorry. Well, you know what? I'm very upset with her over statements that were made without any receipts, which that's something that Crabtree's going to have a problem with too here on these streets because we like receipts. I don't produce receipts. You either believe me or you don't. I really don't care. I tell you like it is. If you don't believe that, oh well, not my problem. I don't get into the business of handing out receipts and stuff like that. But when you're bringing up salacious, like if I was bringing up salacious information that is almost unbelievable, yeah, I'm bringing receipts to support that. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I'm very particular about what receipts are produced on here. I let other people show the receipts. I won't do it because you get into this thing where people can start saying stuff, anything that they want to say, and they want you to produce the receipts to contradict them, but they don't want to produce the receipts to support what they're saying, right? I don't get into that because I'm not, if you're going to say something, you better have the receipts to back your shit up. I have the receipts. If push comes to shove, when something comes out of my mouth, I have receipts. Just because I don't show them doesn't mean I don't have them in my back pocket to pop out at any point just to show that you're an asshole and you don't know what you're talking about. Hey, love it. It's nice to see you. I didn't even say hi to anybody. I'm so, believe it or not, I know I'm being calm, but that's because I got baby girl between my legs and I don't want to be screaming in the freaking phone. But I'm so angry with this Crabtree jackass that it's not even funny. He wants to sit there and talk a whole bunch of shit. Well, you know what? He had an he did that once before, and I got up on his panel, and he was like a little tabby cat, right? He's a lion when he's not confronted, and he's a tabby cat when you come to his face and say you got something to say. And I've got to tell you, he's more concerned about the little girls that he hangs out with while his wife is sleeping than he does about anything to do with this case. He's got to be popular. He's got to be emotional. He's got to have all these women saying, "Aww," right? I mean, the guy's a good-looking guy. What can I say? But, women need to have more respect for themselves. This man is a married man. You know what I'm saying? We don't fish in other people's pond. It's called being a woman. All right? And it really upsets me because there's some things that people don't know. Like Tony and his beautiful wife are some of the nicest people in the world. Good Christian people. His wife's father used to be an elder at their church. Good people. Good people trying to do the right thing, much like myself. Getting trashed. And people are supporting the channels that are doing it. And I'm just sitting here thinking that, and I see our own people, and you don't think my eyes are closed. People, I don't go in there and watch or anything like that, but other people do. And it's like, I just keep wondering to myself, are we here for this boy or are we here for the drama? Because one thing I don't like is the drama. Everybody keeps saying I'm a drama. No, they keep dragging me in. You guys have watched it, had a front row seat of it. I've been keeping this about the case. I've been keeping this about the victim focused. I've been keeping it about Sebastian. And every time they just can't handle it and they want to start slinging mud. And then when I address the mud slinging, I'm a drama queen. Well, I have a right to defend myself. TL was sitting doing accolades to viewers for hours that she knows brings money, must have lost a lot of gambling in Vegas. at the gas pump saying, "Ugh, I'm at the gas pump over and over, hint, hint, I need money." Hey, I don't know what her deal is. I honestly, I stopped watching her, but in all fairness, she reached out to me, and she was, along with Mr. and Mrs. Car Guy, Michelle, the real Me Too, Tony. She was there when I got out. You know, she was there and she gave me a hug. I mean, that to me was, it was nice. You know, and we don't have to agree. And I really am still upset with her for interjecting stuff that with no receipts, but she was there, and she was there for the right reasons. And that I can say honestly, and I think that needs to be said honestly, because you know there has been some hurt feelings when it comes to TL, and I think people are deserving to know that she was there for the right reasons, and maybe that'll give you guys a little bit of you know, reassurance that at least she's, when it comes to this argument, on the right side of it. You know, we'll take you when things aren't agreeing, we'll address it. When we can't agree, we'll address it, right? That to me was respectful and respectable. You get what I'm saying? So no matter how I feel about her commentary, right? I can't control her commentary, and I can't control her. But what I can say is that she was there to give me a hug when I got out. So you have to look at that as well. TL being there for you. That was needed to be done. Yeah, yeah. And we do have a lot of support. And again, you know, this $50,000 was huge. And I do believe it was strategically planned where it was planned by the FBI. And I think honestly, in my opinion, I think it was the big middle finger to Sumner County, because Sumner County didn't want a reward. They didn't want to complicate the case. They didn't want to do shit on this case. Let's be honest, right? They just, like I told you, it seems to me like they're trying to shovel it under the rug as quickly as possible to get that file in the cabinet to start collecting dust. That's how it feels. Now, I also said just because it feels that way doesn't make it true. It's just my opinion. So I don't know what Sumner County is doing. If they had a PIO, or yeah, public information officer, then we would be in a lot of better shape, right? There wouldn't be so much doubt. But when you hear that these people's families work for the very sheriff that's investigating this missing boy, it makes it quite difficult to have any faith in them, especially in silence. Because for many of us, we know we've been in true crime for a really long time. We've been covering these cases all over the country. I mean, hell, I was, you know, I did a documentary on Paramount, right, about web sleuthing in the Idaho 4. We interviewed Kaylee Gonzalez's parents. Like, we're not some trash channel. We are legit, and these people violated my rights. And for me to have to be defending something that should have never have happened is the most insane thing. I feel like I'm in the freaking Twilight Zone here. Totally in the Twilight Zone. And people are happy about that? Like, dude, do you realize that you are screwing with constitutional rights? And if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. And these dumbasses that are out here are already felons. You know? Like, they would be railroaded a hell of a lot more than me. I've never had a felony. Literally, I have never. I remember I was charged with one, and they had to literally drop it within 2 weeks. They had to. They had no choice. Because it was a bunk charge. And so they were forced by the state attorney to, you know, the state attorney dropped the charge. That's the only time I was ever convicted, or not convicted, I was ever charged with a felony. And I got to tell you, I'm not a felon. I possess a concealed weapons permit. You know, I had a gun, right? I'm following a court order. I don't even know what the court order is, but they say I can't have a gun. I'm not playing with that. But you know what? At the end of the day, they need a search warrant to find out if it's in my house. And I don't think they're going to ever have anything enough to toss my house. Damaging to your income in my name. Yeah, it is. It is. There are definitely, I've definitely have damages as a result of this. And it's literally, which reminds me, you guys can capture all that stuff and send it to me. I've got a file going on. So anytime you see my mug shot, my face, and all this other stuff, and their commentary from these people, especially the people that helped do this. We know the 3 teams that worked on this. It was JLR's team, it was Chlamydia's team, and it was QB's team. And all their people, right? So when I say team, I mean them as a unit. We know BT's on QB's team. We know that KP, CP are on Chlamydia's team. We know J for J, Chloe, that horrible person, Kitty Sanders or whatever her name is, that's running Ellie Mae Farmer, that's running these are all people. And then we've got a leak in even their group, their admins. I don't know which one it is, but apparently they're friends with somebody that's BHB friendly, and this person doesn't agree with what JLR is doing, but all those anonymous posts about me are being approved by another administrator, but they're all JLR. It has been confirmed that those posts about me are JLR, and we busted JLR because he was one of the people that were sending threatening messages to Michaela's Mutt Motel, and he was busted. I mean, we've got his IP address. Like, he was literally 6 miles from his home when he decided to do that, probably sitting in the parking lot at the Wawas, for all I know, when he did that. But that, we're building something here against JLR. I can promise you that. And while we're building that, he's trying to. And I also found out there was somebody, something farms that got a protective order against JLR just recently. So this man is not even kosher, and I don't know how they were able to silence that story. But apparently JLR, from what I hear. Again, I haven't confirmed this. I'll look into it. Has an actual protective order against him from some stranger that he's attacked, and people are supporting this man. If he's lying about SETH's case, how many other cases is he lying to his audience about for clicks and views? How about J.P. Miller's case? How much did? Because I mean, even though I set up a Facebook group, I stopped following it when I found out him and his disgusting woman that likes to lie. When they started covering it, I didn't want anything to do with them. So I moved. I just started focusing on Sebastian. They were focusing on J.P. Miller. So I figured, give them that. I'll take this. And I've been working this since then. And he just keeps jumping over the line when he knows he's not welcome there, and because he has an ego problem. He's a freaking sociopath. If you guys have not noticed, this man has no emotion. He's a narcissist. He only thinks about himself. You hear him saying he's staying up for hours and hours on end. You know why he's staying up for hours and hours on end and working around the clock? Because he's working around the clock trying to cause me problems, not working these cases. So and this is my ex, and I tried telling you how abusive this man is. If this doesn't show you his abuse, I don't know what will. You guys know he was a part of this. And I tried telling you how abusive JLR was. Mentally, emotionally. Tell me that this is not mental and emotional abuse by an ex. He's abusive. I'm very thankful that he didn't physically abuse me, but one of his ex-girlfriends was. He has dolls in his car. That is sick. Yeah, never mind all the sick, twisted stuff he's done over the years to these cases and the torment he's put families through and continues to do to this day. All the while of having a crucifix around his neck saying, "I've redeemed myself." How? You're acting just like you were acting when you got arrested for the felonies for all the shit you did in the other states, right? He was off on probation, and he goes and has mail sent to his house from one case. He acts like he's this whatever Lanza guy. It's weird. Magnolia is the only mod, it seems. She's his only source. Have you noticed that? It's like now that we have exposed the fact that he makes up fake posts on Facebook and then runs those as stories for himself. Now all of a sudden he stopped doing that except when it comes to me, and started calling her as this source, but they don't produce. Like, if she's working behind the scenes and she has all this information, she's running his show. Why isn't she showing this information on the page? And why do they always show, why do they never show the orders? You know, like even with Seth, they show the salacious bad stuff, but they never show whether that was a finding of the court, only the smear. It just doesn't make sense. He has no problem smearing people, and then when he's smeared, he attacks them even more. But when people smear him, it's with the truth, not via lies. And that's what he can't stand. What he's done to me, what those 3 creators have done to me, is unlawful. And they did it coordinating with the parents. It's my understanding that the parents were on the phone with chlamydia. So they intentionally wanted this done at Sebastian's rescue ride. The parents that are trying to make everybody in the world believe that they... It's just sad. Lots to think about today. Lots to think about. But Crabtree, when I'm out of my tiredness, I am going to literally sock it to you if you don't just honor what you told Seth and Tony and the rest of the world and leave the case alone. Nobody's saying you can't cover it. Advocating is one thing. What you're doing is wrong. And you keep retracting your lies. And there are so many lies you have infiltrated into this case. It is disgusting. You are not good at this. Why? Because you don't have enough of this. And when you're sick and tired of being called a vagina, maybe you'll quit being such a pussy. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Peace out.